My husband left me for my best friend, and they expected me to be okay with it. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to write one of these posts, but here I am. I need to let this out before it eats me alive. I was married to my husband, Jake, for 7 years. We had a good life, or at least I thought we did. I had a best friend, Lily, who I trusted with everything. We had been inseparable since high school. She was like my sister. And then last week, my world shattered. Jake came home looking nervous. I asked him what was wrong, and after hesitating for a moment, he dropped the bombshell. I love Lily. We've been seeing each other for a while now. I think we should get a divorce. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. But the worst part? They expected me to be okay with it. Lily actually had the audacity to say, "I hope we can still be friends." I don't even remember what I said after that. I think I laughed. Or maybe I screamed. It's all a blur. All I know is I packed my things and left that night. Now, a week later, they're officially together. My ex-husband and my ex-best friend. And people have the nerve to tell me to move on and not be bitter. I wish I could erase them both from my memory. My dad's will prove what I always knew. I was never his favorite. My dad passed away 2 months ago, and we just finished sorting out his will. And guess what? He left everything to my brother. I always knew my younger brother was his favorite. It was painfully obvious. My dad always praised him, gave him whatever he wanted, and acted like he could do no wrong. Meanwhile, I had to fight for every bit of attention. Still, I thought I'd at least get something. No, my dad left him everything. The house, the savings, even the damn car that I had helped him fix up. I got a single letter in which he wrote, "You're strong enough to make it on your own. Your brother needs more help." What the hell? I spent years trying to prove myself to this man, and in the end, I was nothing more than an afterthought. I wish I could say I'm sad, but honestly, I just feel numb. My neighbor Karen called the cops on my disabled mom. I knew my neighbor Karen was annoying, but this time, she crossed the line. My mom is disabled and uses a wheelchair. We have a handicap parking spot in front of our house because of her condition. Karen has always hated this. She constantly complains that it ruins the look of the street and has even tried parking in the spot herself. Every time we tell her to move, and every time she acts like we're the bad guys. Last week, she took it to the next level. I was helping my mom into the car when the cops showed up. Apparently, Karen had called them, saying we were illegally using a handicap spot. The cop took one look at my mom and was immediately pissed. He asked Karen what the issue was, and she actually had the nerve to say, "How do we know she's really disabled?" Are you kidding me? Long story short, Karen got a warning for making a false report. But now, she glares at us every time we step outside. I just don't get it. Why are people like this? My girlfriend tried to throw my PC out the window. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I swear it just happened, and I still can't believe it. My girlfriend Amy hates that I play video games. I've never let it interfere with our relationship. I don't ignore her, and I make time for date nights and quality time. But she thinks gaming is a waste of time. A few days ago, I got a brand new gaming PC. I saved up for months to buy it, and I was so excited to finally have a setup I could be proud of. Amy? Not so much. She started complaining the moment I set it up. She said I was going to spend all my time on that stupid thing, and that I was choosing a machine over her. I told her she was overreacting. Then, last night, I caught her trying to push my PC off my desk. I stopped her just in time. She looked at me with this defiant expression and said, "If you won't get rid of it, I will." I was so angry, I told her to leave. She stormed out and hasn't answered my calls. Now, I don't know what to do. I love her, but how do you stay with someone who tries to destroy something you care about? My husband left me over text, and I found out the truth months later. I never thought my marriage would end with a text message, but it did. We have been married for 8 years. 8 years of memories, vacations, struggles, laughter, and what I thought was real love. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but nothing that ever made me think divorce was on the table. Then, one evening, while I was at work, I got a text from my husband, Eric. "I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving. Please don't try to call me." That was it. No explanation. No warning. Just gone. At first, I thought it was a joke or some kind of horrible misunderstanding. I called him. No answer. I texted. Nothing. When I got home, his closet was empty. His things were gone. and there was no sign of him anywhere. It was like he had vanished from my life overnight. I was completely blindsided. I cried for days, barely eating, barely functioning. Our friends were just as shocked as I was. No one had seen this coming. My in-laws didn't even know where he was. His social media accounts were deleted. It was like he had wiped himself off the face of the earth. For months, I tried to move on, but the lack of closure ate away at me. How could a man I had loved for nearly a decade just disappear? Why didn't he have the decency to talk to me face to face? Then, for months later, I got my answer. A friend sent me a link to a wedding announcement. Eric's wedding announcement. He had remarried. And the date? Just 2 months after he left me. Which meant he had been planning this the whole time. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I stared at the screen, trying to process it. Who was she? How long had he been cheating on me? Had he ever really loved me? Or had I just been a placeholder until someone better came along? I did some digging. Turns out, he had been having an affair for over a year before he left. His new wife was someone from work, someone I had met. And the worst part? He hadn't just ghosted me. He had also ghosted his own family. His parents, his siblings, everyone. He had cut all of us off so he could start fresh with her, as if his entire previous life had never existed. I wish I could say I confronted him, that I got some grand, satisfying revenge. But the truth is I never spoke to him again, because now, he wasn't worth my time. I grieved the man I thought I married, but I refused to waste another second on the man he really was. I found out my best friend was never my friend at all. I've spent the last 10 years believing I had a best friend, someone who always had my back, who I could trust with my deepest secrets. Turns out, she was never really my friend at all. Her name is Jessica. We met in college and clicked instantly. She was funny, supportive, and always hyped me up when I was struggling. I thought we had the kind of friendship that would last a lifetime. But last weekend, I found out the truth. It started with a wedding. One of our mutual friends was getting married, and I was one of the bridesmaids. Jessica wasn't in the bridal party, but she was invited. After the ceremony, we were all drinking and celebrating when one of the groomsmen, a guy I barely knew, approached me and said, "I always thought it was messed up how Jessica talks about you." I laughed it off at first. I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He told me that for years, Jessica had been talking behind my back. Not just little things, awful, nasty things. She told people I was annoying, desperate, fake, that I craved attention and thought I was better than everyone else. She told guys I was into that I was crazy and clingy, so they'd avoid me. And the worst part? She had actively sabotaged my relationships, both friendships and romantic ones, by spreading lies about me. I felt like I was going to be sick. I confronted her the next day. At first, she denied everything. But when I pressed, she finally snapped and said, "You're just so easy to make fun of." Like it was nothing. Like our entire friendship had been a joke to her. She had spent a decade pretending to be my friend just to laugh at me behind my back. I cut her off right then and there, blocked her on everything. And now, I'm sitting here trying to piece together how I never saw it. How I trusted someone who clearly never gave a damn about me. I feel like a complete idiot.